I bought a house by the sea for 30 million. The moment my son-in-law found out, he called, "We're already on our way. There will be 15 of us. Prepare beds, towels, slippers, food. We'll stay for 3 weeks. We'll be there in 40 minutes, so get moving, old man." I smiled faintly, already plotting what to do with this. This story is based on real events. Friends, tell me what city you're from and how old you are. It's always fascinating to know who is listening. I wish you a pleasant time. I bought a house by the sea, spacious, bright, overlooking the Black Sea. I dreamed of peace. I had saved nearly 30 million for this very place, hoarding every coin over the years in the hope that at last I could live in silence. 3 days ago, I moved in. The boxes were still unopened. I had only begun unwrapping crystal glasses when the phone rang. "Hello, old man. We're on our way. Prepare the beds, towels, slippers, food. 15 of us. 3 weeks. We'll be there in 40 minutes, so get a move on." Boris's voice struck my ear like a hammer. No greeting. No "how are you?" Just an order, as though I owed him something. I stood, looking out the window. The sea stretched boundless, blue, the surf rolling under the slope of my land. In my hand, a crystal glass I had just unpacked. Inside me, anger. That quiet fury I had buried for years but never released. "Boris, wait. I've barely moved in. The house is still full of boxes. No beds, no dishes. I don't care what's there. You have money, so you have space. That's all that matters." His tone, as always, carried that lazy arrogance, dismissing my words as background noise. The ocean breeze swept through the open glass door, bringing with it the smell of salt and freedom. But his words made the air heavy. My knuckles whitened as I gripped the black granite counter. "Boris, I don't even have a dining table yet. The beds aren't made. It's my first week here. Figure it out, old man. You're retired. What else do you have to do?" In the background I could hear the hum of an engine, voices. He was already on the way, and not alone. Jean-Naz packed the children's things. Maxim and the Saltievs are coming. It'll be like the good old days. A big family gathering. A family gathering. How easily he said it, while inside me something rusted and sharp twisted. I need time to prepare. Maybe next month. Next month. Boris laughed. We're already on the road. There's no turning back. You wouldn't want to disappoint the children, would you? Jean-Naz been telling them for 2 weeks about their grandfather's new house by the sea. Don't spoil the holiday. Grandfather. Not Roman. Not father-in-law. Not even just Elvira's father. Grandfather, as if my role was reduced to a duty-bound relative, obliged to entertain everyone at once. I clutched the phone. My palm sweating, slipping. "Boris, please, be reasonable. 3 weeks is too much. And 15 people, stop dramatizing. Family helps family. You yourself taught me that. Word for word, just as you once said. Besides, what's the point of all this if you won't share it with those who matter?" Those who matter. I closed my eyes, and Elvira's face appeared before me. My daughter, gone 3 years now, taken by cancer. She had been the bridge between us, and with her gone, the connection vanished. What would she say about this conversation? About her husband's tone, his demands, just get everything ready. We're bringing our own beer, but clear space in the fridge. Oh, and Jeanna wants to sleep in the master bedroom. They say the view of the sea is the best there. My bedroom. The place I had dreamed of for 40 years. A balcony facing the horizon. A room I had longed for, finally mine. Perfect at last. We're on our way. 35 minutes left. Don't keep us waiting at the gate. The line went dead. I stood in the sunlit kitchen, phone in hand. Through the glass wall I saw gulls wheeling above, the surf below. Everything I had dreamed of was suddenly under threat. 15 people. 3 weeks. 35 minutes, the crystal glass glittered in the sun, scattering rainbows across the marble. Fragile, like the peace I thought I had earned. I set the phone down against the granite and walked into the living room. The walls were bare, my canvases still packed away. My life was suspended between the past and what was supposed to be the beginning of rest. On the mantel stood a photo of Elvira, the first thing I had unpacked. I needed her to be here. I lifted the silver frame. Her gentle eyes, her quiet smile. 3 years gone, yet the pain still as fresh as yesterday. Dad, Boris really is trying to find work. Help us, just this once. Her voice still echoed in my mind, as if she were standing beside me. Just this once. Those 3 words became the refrain of all my dealings with Boris Miller. I sank into the leather chair by the panoramic window, her photo in my hands. Beyond the glass stretched the endless sea. But in my head, no peace. Only memories. And dread. The first warning had come half a year after their wedding. Boris's startup failed. He was left jobless, drowning in credit card debt. I transferred him $1,300,000 straight out of my retirement savings. My plans to step back from work delayed another half year. You're so generous, Dad, Elvira whispered over dinner that night. Boris appreciates it, even if he doesn't always show it. But he never showed it. Not after I paid $2 million for his master's degree. Not when I covered the down payment on their apartment, since his credit score was too poor. That time, it was almost $4 million, money I had put aside for the dream house by the sea. The very house I now stood in. The one they were treating as their holiday resort. I ran a hand through my gray hair. The pattern was clear, years in the making. Every few months, another crisis. Every time, another call. Another plea for help. During Elvira's illness, of course, the expenses were necessary: doctors, procedures, medicine. I gave nearly $6 million and never once regretted it. But even then, Boris somehow made everything orbit around him. Work is falling apart, he would say. I'm so stressed, I can't focus. And then came the funeral. I remember him standing there with a glass in hand, lamenting bills, while chatting with guests as if it were a social gathering. And I stood by the coffin. After Elvira's death, I thought the requests would stop. That he'd finally take responsibility. But no, they only multiplied. Car repairs when the warranty expired. Property taxes he forgot to budget. A new ring for Jeanna, because she deserved the best. I tried not to keep count, but the numbers tallied themselves in my mind. Nearly $25 million over 6 years. Enough for a city apartment, or a sturdy country house. Enough for a peaceful retirement, without waking at 3 a.m. in a cold sweat, wondering if there would be enough left. Slowly, I placed Elvira's photo back on the mantel and went into the study. The window overlooked the sea, the very reason I had chosen this house. Out there, beyond the horizon, I thought peace was waiting for me, but in the reflection, there was only myself, a man nearing 60, who had spent his life building other people's dreams while filing away his own, as though in some forgotten folder. It wasn't even about the money. Money could always be earned again. What hurt more was something else. The respect had vanished. Without my noticing, I had gone from a generous father-in-law to nothing more than a resource. His voice had changed over the years, once full of thank yous, then slipping into come on, give me, and now reduced to a single command: we're on our way. Prepare the beds. 15 people. My house. No permission. No request. As though I were a hotel, I tapped my fingers against the windowsill. Slowly, anger rose in my chest, the kind I had suppressed all this time. Elvira had always begged me to be patient. He loves in his own way, she would say. But she was gone, and in Boris's version of love, somehow everything always worked to his benefit. Engines hummed in the distance. First faint, then louder. Several cars climbed the winding road to my house. My time was up. 15 minutes remained. I glanced at my watch, 3:45. They were ahead of schedule. Dust swirled above the private road. 4 cars, maybe 5, in a line. They were arriving like an invading force, grinding my teeth. I stepped away from the window and walked to the front door. Through the side glass panes I could see the procession pulling into the circular drive. Boris's black SUV led the column. Behind him, 2 sedans and a pickup stuffed with bags, beach gear, and crates. They had come prepared. 15 people. He hadn't been exaggerating. I set my hand on the doorknob. The cold metal steadied me. I inhaled deeply. Boris emerged first, striding out like a general at inspection, mirrored sunglasses, a swagger bordering on insolence. Behind him came Jonna, phone raised, already filming for her stories. "Oh my God, guys, just look at this place, it's like a resort." I opened the door before they could ring the bell, hoping to keep at least some semblance of control. That illusion died instantly. "Well, old man, do you like the surprise?" Boris brushed past me without so much as a pause, his eyes darting around, already sizing up what he might claim for himself. "Jonna, look, there's the jacuzzi I told you about." "Boris, I told you on the phone. I'm not ready for guests." But my words drowned in the rising noise. One by one, people poured in like ants from a nest. Maxim, his college friend, whistled. "What a place. The money in here, unbelievable. Would be a sin not to share it with the family." Elena, Janna's sister, squeezed by with 2 suitcases. "This is perfect for a vacation. The kids will love the pool." Kids. No one had mentioned children. "Stop dramatizing, Roman," Boris called from the living room. Wet sandals left sandy trails across my Italian marble floors. "Family helps family. You said it yourself." The noise swelled. People scattered through the house, dropping bags, unpacking, switching on music. Someone cracked open beers. Someone else fiddled with the sound system. I tried to shout above it. "Excuse me. Could I have everyone's attention?" Too late. Jonna was live streaming from the kitchen, my family at their new luxury seaside home. "Look at this view, just a dream." Family. The word grated in my ears like sand on glass. In all the years of marriage, Boris had never once called me dad. Only Roman. Always at a distance. Yet when it suited him, suddenly we were family. A heavy bass line boomed through the speakers. Someone had found my sound system. Bags cluttered the hallway. The kitchen was choked with clutter. People sprawled on my sofas like they owned the place. "Boris, we need to talk." "Later, old man. First, we need to get everyone settled." He strode toward the bedrooms, a stream of guests trailing behind. "Jonna and I will take the master suite, obviously. Maxim and Tatiana get the one with the sea view. Elena and Kirill, the one with the balcony." I blocked the hall. "No. Not the master. That's my room. My private space." Boris laughed. "Come on, Roman, don't be selfish. We drove 4 hours. Janna's been dreaming of that sunrise view for her yoga videos. Let her enjoy it." He clapped me on the shoulder, not warmly, but with the force of someone brushing aside an obstacle. I stepped back. He swept past, leading his parade into my corridor, my bedroom, the space I had built for myself. "The light here is perfect." Janna's voice rang out. "Ideal for my morning rituals. The content will be amazing." Content. My bedroom, reduced to a backdrop for her Instagram feed. In the living room, Maxim was already handing out beers. Elena was rearranging furniture. Children darted across the terrace, leaving wet footprints on the Portuguese limestone I had paid a fortune for. It was done. In less than 10 minutes, my home had been transformed into a holiday resort. Comfort erased. Order destroyed. And not one person had thought to ask permission. I stood in the entryway, a stranger in my own house. Outside, the sea remained calm, eternal. Inside, chaos reigned. Boris emerged from my bedroom, beaming as though he had just struck a profitable deal. These are going to be the best 3 weeks ever. Janna's already planning a housewarming for tomorrow. Hope you don't mind. She invited a few people from her yoga studio. More people. I clenched my jaw so hard my temples ached. This wasn't a family visit. This was an occupation. And I, the supposed owner, was nothing more than unpaid staff in my own home. Janna appeared in the doorway of the master bath, a towel wrapped around her head, droplets still glistening on her shoulders. She carried her suitcase as casually as if she had always lived here. Excuse me. I blocked the doorway. This room is closed. No one sleeps here. She stopped, genuinely surprised. But Roman, darling, we already discussed this. The light here is perfect for my morning shoots. No. The word burst out sharp. Everyone needs to leave. Now. Her eyes widened. She shifted her suitcase, striking a familiar pose I'd seen countless times on her social media. Roman, sweetheart, we're family. Why are you being like this? Boris appeared, frowning. He had realized things weren't going according to plan. He saw me barring the doorway, standing firm. Roman, move aside. We drove 4 hours. We need to rest. This is my house. I didn't move. And I am asking all of you to leave immediately. He smirked. Your house. Have you forgotten how much you owe us? Forgotten who the real victim is here? Victim. For 3 years I had been paying. 6 years without respite. Money meant for retirement, for peace, for this house, drained away. And now he dared to say I owed him. I owe you nothing, Boris. My voice trembled, not with fear, but with rage, suppressed for years. This conversation is over. Janna tried to push past. Her suitcase bumping against me. I caught it. Roman, that's rude. She cried. I heard footsteps approaching. The others had gathered. Maxim with a beer in hand. Kirill with beach towels. Elena with half-unpacked makeup. Someone lowered the music. The air grew heavier, charged. Everyone was watching. Dude, what's the problem? Maxim muttered. We're not doing anything wrong. You've invaded my home, I said, sweeping my eyes across them. All of this, without permission. Boris placed his hand on my shoulder again, in that false show of familiarity. I jerked away, hard. He stumbled back. Don't touch me, and don't you dare use my daughter's name again to justify your greed. Janna's lip trembled. She was about to slip into her usual performance. Papa Roma, we just wanted to spend time with you. We thought you'd be happy, Papa Roma. From the woman who had married my widowed son-in-law wearing my daughter's jewelry at their wedding. Her tears, her words, everything rang false. Even the tone was rehearsed, happy. I swept my eyes across the wrecked living room. You expect me to be happy that strangers are taking over my bedroom, emptying my kitchen, throwing a party in my house? We're not strangers, Elena interjected, though I wasn't even sure I'd ever seen her before. We're Boris's friends. So, almost family. Almost. A word they used as if it erased all boundaries. Boris sensed the tension building and tried to regain control. Listen, Roma, I understand, you're under stress. The move, your age, the loneliness. But we're already here. Everything's set up. If you throw us out now, there'll be consequences for everyone. The threat was wrapped in polite phrasing, but I heard it loud and clear. Consequences for who? I asked. For your freeloading friends. For Jana, who promised her followers luxury house content. Or for you, who promised them all this, forgetting to mention the house wasn't yours. There's only one problem here, I said. 15 people deciding they could move into my home without permission. Without permission. Boris's face twisted. The mask of the reasonable relative slipped. After everything we've been through, after all your complaints and demands. Demands? $500,000 for his business. $1 million for the wedding. Several more for housing. Dozens of transfers. And somehow I was the demanding one. Kirill staggered forward, the smell of beer clinging to him. Listen, old man, calm down. We'll clean up later. It's no big deal. Old man. Another fake term of endearment, 15 of them. Just me. In my own house, Boris stepped closer, his voice colder now. Think carefully, Roma. Some decisions can't be undone. Some relationships can't be repaired. That's it. A direct threat. Refuse him, and I'd be exiled from the so-called family. I looked at them, faces brazen, some offended, some already rehearsing excuses for the cameras. To them, I was a rich man who had forgotten he was supposed to share. But then I realized the truth, some relationships were already broken. Some had never been real in the first place. The question was no longer whether I could lose them. The question was, could I allow myself to keep them? Boris stood across from me, tension etched in his face. His words, some relationships can't be repaired, hung in the air like smoke after a fire. 15 faces watched me. Some expectant, some irritated. You're right about one thing, I said, stepping away from the doorway. There's a decision that can't be undone. I turned and walked calmly toward my study. As I went, I pulled out my phone. Behind me, chaos stirred. Jana's voice rose, sharper now. Roma, where are you going? We need to discuss this like adults. Discuss. From the same woman who an hour ago was filming my bathroom as if it were hers, somewhere behind me, Boris muttered to Maxim, he's losing it. Probably calling a lawyer to rewrite his will. Senile tantrum. I shut the study door and turned the key. Silence filled the room, the walls, the bookshelves, the desk, the window overlooking the sea. My place. My fortress. I dialed, emergency service. What's the issue? Good afternoon. I need assistance. There are people in my home whom I've asked to leave. They refuse. Is there a threat to your life? Not yet. But I am the owner. There are about 15 of them. I've repeatedly told them to leave. Do you have documents proving ownership? Yes. The house was registered to me a month ago. The papers are in my desk drawer. I can present them. Footsteps outside. Quick, nervous whispers. They knew who I was calling. How many? 15. They arrived uninvited. The banging on the door grew louder. Roma. Boris's voice, fake cheerfulness straining. Come on now. Let's talk this through, calmly. A patrol is on the way, came the voice on the line. ETA 15 to 20 minutes. Stay inside. If you feel threatened, keep the line open. Understood. I'm in my study. The door is locked. I hung up. My hands trembled, but inside, I felt calm. At last, someone was taking my words seriously. Outside, more footsteps. Someone suggested leaving before things escalated. Boris cut them off. He's bluffing. He didn't call anyone. In 5 minutes he'll come out and apologize. Apologize. That was always their assumption. I was always the one who called, who yielded, who gave in. Not this time. The door shuttered again. They weren't knocking anymore, they were pounding. Open up. Now. Boris's voice, stripped of politeness. This is family business, not police business. No. Not family. Family doesn't invade a home. Ignore requests or resort to blackmail, Roma, please. Jeanna's voice, on the verge of cracking. For once, maybe not an act. How can you do this to us? We trusted you. Trusted me, to keep swallowing their disrespect. To stay silent, to endure, to smile as their children ate on my couch and Jeanna filmed in my bathroom. This is nonsense, Maxim muttered. We just came to relax. Relax. At my expense. In my house. Without asking. And they still acted insulted. I glanced out the window. Seagulls wheeled over the sea. The terrace below where I had planned to sit with a glass of wine. Instead, now, an armed siege, another heavy blow rattled the door. Roma. No nicknames now. Just raw anger. Open the damn door. Enough of this circus. These are your problems, not ours. I didn't answer. I just picked up the remote and silenced the music still thumping through the speakers. My phone buzzed. A message, Elvira wouldn't recognize you. You're destroying what can never be restored. I hope it was worth it, her name again. A shield. An excuse. I muted the notification and set the phone face down. No panic. No emotion. Outside, I heard arguing. Someone said, maybe we really should leave. Wait, Boris snapped. He can't actually do anything. But then, from somewhere down the road, the rising wail of a siren, they heard it too. Shuffling. Footsteps. Panic. Calm down, everyone, Boris said. I'll explain it myself. It's just a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding? 15 uninvited people in my house, that was no misunderstanding. That was trespassing. The front door opened. A brief chime, the kind no guest had bothered with, "Good evening," a voice rang out. Senior Lieutenant Zuravliev, Patrol Unit. Report of unauthorized presence in a private residence. Who's the owner? I stepped out of my study. Calm. Solid, Jeanna sat on the sofa, a tissue in hand. Tears streaming down her face, perfectly staged, as always. Boris was already speaking at the door, trying to smooth everything over, just a small family quarrel. My wife's father, he's going through a difficult time. Exaggerating things a bit, who is the legal owner of this house? Zuravliev interrupted, his tone neutral yet unyielding. I am. Roman Petrovich. I extended the documents I had prepared in advance, stamped and signed. The property was registered in my name last month. These people arrived without an invitation. I asked them to leave, and they refused. A young officer, Junior Lieutenant Zueva, swept her eyes over the house. The picture was obvious: suitcases, shopping bags, beer bottles, beach gear, loud music. How many in total? She asked. 15 when they arrived. 5 seemed to have already left. Boris stepped forward. Wait a second. This is family. We've gathered here every year. It's tradition. He's just lost his grip. Family ties don't give you the right to break the law, Zuravliev replied calmly. If the owner asks you to leave, you are obligated to do so. The words cracked like thunder. For the first time that day, everyone standing around realized the game had changed. But we're family. Jeanna exclaimed, flinging up her hands. Family ties do not override the laws of the Russian Federation, Zueva confirmed. Boris opened his mouth to argue, but I was already staring into his eyes. Remove them. I want them gone. Now. Understood. Zuravliev gave a curt nod. You have 15 minutes to collect your belongings and vacate private property. After that, administrative detention for trespassing. The scramble began. Maxim and Kirill were the first to grab their bags and beer crates, muttering something about an unfriendly host. Elena shot Boris a look as if he had personally ruined her vacation. Half the people who had swaggered through my home an hour earlier now packed in silence, avoiding my eyes. "This is absurd," Boris muttered, watching his grip on the situation crumble. We drove 4 hours. Everything was arranged. Everything was organized. Organized with whom? Zuravlyev asked steadily. With the property owner? No, then it was not arranged. It was unlawful. Janna emerged from my bedroom, the wheels of her suitcase clattering. She moved quickly but with the posture of an offended queen. Her face twisted in rage. "You'll regret this, Roma. For the rest of your life." But I felt nothing. No fear, no guilt, only relief. Their belongings vanished from my rooms, as though stripping away that sticky illusion of family. Still Boris would not yield. As the last bags were loaded into cars, he threw one final jab. "Elvira would never recognize the man you've become. Greedy, closed off, petty." Zuravlyev stepped between us. "One more word, and I'll write you up for threats. My advice, end this conversation." They left in a convoy, one car after another. Beyond the gates, only dust and silence remained. Zueva filed her report. Zuravlyev explained, "If any of them return, call us immediately. You now have an official incident on record. A repeat appearance will be grounds for detention." I nodded. The paper in my hands felt like armor. Everything official. Everything recorded, they were gone. And I was alone in my house. Finally, in my house, silence. Astonishing silence, like the calm after a storm. No voices, no music, no feet on the tiles. Only the surf, the hum of the air conditioner, and the steady beat of my heart. I walked through the rooms like a man surveying a crime scene. Beer cans in the kitchen. Wet footprints on the parquet. Furniture shoved about like in a summer camp. Makeup stains in the bathroom, a towel crumpled on the floor. In the bedroom, a photograph of Elvira, face down. I picked it up. The glass had cracked. "Be kind to Boris, Papa. He's struggling too," her voice echoed again. I was kind. 6 years, nearly 30 million. Rental flats, constant moves, illnesses, quarrels, funerals. He was always struggling. And always demanding. Back in the kitchen, my phone lay where I had left it. Nearly 20 missed calls. All from Boris. Dozens of messages. "You're disgracing the family, you can't treat relatives this way, you're the reason Janna's crying, you betrayed us, think you've won." Accusations, one after another. No apology. No admission of fault. Not a single word of "I was wrong." The last message, "This is only the beginning. Tomorrow everyone will know who you really are." I poured a drink. Not to celebrate, but to breathe. 3 fingers of brandy. I sank into the chair by the window. The sea beyond, the silence within. Yet my mind still roared. 6 years. 30 million. No gratitude, no understanding. Only more demands, more pressure. And now, for saying no for the first time, I was the traitor. Another buzz. This time, a photo. Janna in the car, mascara streaked, face wet with tears. Caption, "Look what you've done." I deleted it without opening it fully. Her tears were not my debt, my money. My bedroom. My home. My boundaries. I stood, looked around the kitchen, and began to clean. Erasing the traces of their presence like sweeping away the ashes of a fire. Each surface wiped, each object returned, stripped weight from my shoulders, but as the house grew quieter, another feeling pressed in. Not relief. Not anger. A tense stillness, because Boris's last message wasn't just an outburst. It was a promise. "This is only the beginning," and in the morning, I saw he had kept his word. 47 notifications from social networks. Dozens of messages from acquaintances. Emails from people I hadn't spoken to in years. I opened vContact. At the top of my feed, Boris's post, my father-in-law threw his own family out. Called the police on us. Cast us aside like dogs. Just because we wanted to spend time with him. My wife in tears, children shocked. Elvira would never recognize him as her father. We pray for everyone who suffers such cruelty. Family is not for profit, hundreds of likes. Dozens of shares. Comments poured in, such pain. How can anyone throw out their own family? Money has driven him mad. Janna, stay strong, we're with you. Janna had already posted stories. Tear-streaked face, tissue in hand, camera shaking. I don't understand how someone who once called us family could treat us this way. I shut the video, but the comments kept flowing. Not from strangers, from our people. Neighbors from my old house. Strange, he always seemed so kind. Old colleagues. What a shame. Elvira always said her father had a heart of gold. Elvira's university friends. We respected him, now it's just bitter. I tried to leave a comment, they came uninvited. 15 people, without warning. I asked them to leave. They refused. I called the police after an hour of pointless discussion. The responses came instantly. Ah yes, the excuses begin. Classic, justifications of a greedy man, 15. Next you'll say they showed up with guns. Boris added his own reply beneath mine. There he was, showing his true face. Twisting everything, as always. Even invoking Elvira's name, claiming she once told him I could be cruel if contradicted. Elvira said that. It was a brazen lie, shameless and manipulative, using her memory as a weapon. I opened the folder I had kept all these years. Financial assistance. Year by year, entry by entry, millions sent without question. 2 million for her graduate studies. 1.3 for their wedding. Nearly 4 for the mortgage. More than 6 for Elvira's treatments. Another 15 in temporary loans that never returned. No receipts, no contracts. Only family. Only you can help, just this once. I reached for the phone and called Igor Grigoriev, my lawyer. Igor, it's Roman. I need urgent advice. This is about public slander, and about debts now conveniently renamed gifts. Roman, good to hear from you. Come tomorrow morning. Bring the documents. If you have records, we'll build the case. And listen, this is no longer just a family quarrel, it's a legal matter. We'll handle it formally. I prepared the files, screenshot by screenshot, Boris's posts, Janna's videos, the accusations that I had thrown children onto the street. Their words against me, all preserved. Then her profile, Instagram glowing with hotels, restaurants, resorts. All the while they had pleaded poverty. And all the while, they had lived on my money. I printed everything and spread it across my desk, tables, figures, stamped receipts, dates. A chain of lies, documented. I was no longer the embittered pensioner they painted me to be, I was once again the engineer. Assembling a project where every detail mattered. Because the truth now lived not in tears, but in papers, Sunday morning began with coffee and documents. I sat at my oak desk as though it were a command post. Files neatly arranged, calculations precise, 6 years, nearly 30 million. By 8:30 I was already in the city, in Igor's office. He greeted me in his blazer, tea in hand, unshaken by the day of the week. Here, I said, passing him the folder. Everything is divided by year. Dates, signatures, transfers, all the support they now pretend never existed. He leafed through in silence, page after page. Finally, he looked up. Roman, this is extraordinary. No one documents family assistance with such precision. An engineer's habit, I shrugged. Everything filed, everything scheduled. I thought it might be useful for taxes. I never imagined it would serve this purpose. With this evidence, we have a solid case. Not only for unjust enrichment, but for defamation as well. We have the transfers, the broken promises, the contradictions in their posts. This isn't just money, it's abuse of trust. For 2 hours we classified everything: systematic exploitation, manipulation with Elvira's memory, public defamation. Igor leaned back at last. The scope of this will not escape the court's attention. We'll file for restitution, and also for protection of your honor and dignity. By noon I was at the bank, requesting notarized statements of every major transfer to Boris over 6 years. The manager, a woman named Larissa, raised her brows at the numbers. This is more than some apartments cost. I know, I answered curtly. It was only help. She stamped the copies. From there, I went to a notary, to certify my testimony, the list of every payment, every conversation where Boris had asked for more. By evening, a thick, orderly dossier lay on my desk. Not hysterical Instagram stories, but a fortress of evidence. I glanced at Elvira's photograph, her warm, faintly wistful smile. I'm not taking revenge, Elia, I whispered. I'm defending myself. I won't be devoured any longer. Monday morning I stood before the district court. Jacket pressed, briefcase in hand. Igor at my side, composed as ever. We were the first when the doors opened, a claim for restitution and for the protection of honor, Igor told the clerk, placing the file before her. She skimmed through, nodding. Very thorough. You'll receive a court date within 2 weeks. The summons will be sent to the defendant. At last, it was in motion. By law, not by sentiment, that evening, while the court courier carried the notice to Boris, I sat at my desk and opened my laptop. His post was still up, though the likes had slowed. The comments kept coming. I posted my own reply, attaching the documents. Friends, many of you have seen Boris Miller's post. Here are the facts. Below are screenshots of transfers to his account, nearly 30 million over 6 years. Call it abandonment if you like, but this is the truth. I signed off. I am not quarreling. I am simply refusing to be used any longer. The responses shifted. Marina Chaikina, Elvira's closest friend, the same one who had written yesterday that I was no longer the man Elvira admired, commented, Roman, I didn't know. Truly, this changes everything. I'm sorry for believing Jeanna's tears so quickly. Others followed. People who had sided with Boris were now confronted with numbers, records, facts. Social media trembled. His tale of my greed collapsed under the weight of documented dependence. By midday, the phone rang. Boris. His voice trembled, Roman. You filed a lawsuit? I did. You understand what this could lead to? I do. The law is not Instagram. Evidence outweighs tears. He went silent. Then, tell me how much you want. That's not for me to decide. That's for the court. We could settle. You could have spoken before dragging a regiment into my home. Now speak with my lawyer. I hung up, and for the first time in years, I felt it. I was no longer merely surviving. I was in control. The first of the month, Friday morning, I stood once more at the courthouse doors. Jacket crisp, folder firm in my hand. Igor beside me, steady as stone. In a week we had built a fortress of evidence: lawsuit, bank statements, notarized papers, social media records. Across the hall sat Boris, hollow-eyed, stripped of his sunglasses. Beside him, a weary court-appointed lawyer with a battered briefcase, arguments already faltering. The judge entered, a woman in her 60s, stern and unadorned, glasses glinting under the lights. Plaintiff, Roman Petrovich. Defendant, Boris Vadimovich. The case had begun. The question before the court: unjust enrichment, systematic use of financial resources without a contract, and the protection of honor and dignity in light of defamatory statements made in public forums. Igor laid the documents before the judge. She turned the pages slowly, carefully, one after another. Mr. Miller, she asked, you do not deny receiving these funds? Well, yes, I did, he admitted. But those were family matters. gifts from the heart. We were close. The judge lifted a sheet of paper. Here you write, the constant debt is suffocating me. I'll return it as soon as the business improves. Is that what you call a gift? He shifted uncomfortably. It was a difficult time. She raised another document. And here, you promised to return money for a car repair. A month later, for a ring. 3 months later, for mortgage arrears. Everywhere, requests and promises. Is this also a gift? Boris's lawyer tried to interject. Your Honor, between close people, such wording is often, not for 29,400,000 rubles, she cut him off. And not with such systematic consistency. She opened the second file, social media printouts, posts, comments, video fragments. All dated, all contradictory. Here you claim the plaintiff never helped. And yet, here are the transfers. Here you write he abandoned the family. And here are the messages, where you ignore his pleas for you to leave the house. Igor rose. Your Honor, we do not seek punishment. We only want the return of the funds and the restoration of my client's name, a man who endured in silence for 6 years and... The first time he said no, was spat upon. The judge looked at Boris. Do you have anything to add? I can repay gradually, in installments. Given the income declared in your documents, yes, you can. The repayment shall be 150,000 rubles per month, for 3 years. In addition, a mandatory public retraction of false statements, in writing, through the same social networks. Within 1 week. I nodded. I needed no humiliation. What I needed was a boundary. After the hearing, as I was leaving, a man approached me, someone I had not seen in years. David, Elvira's cousin, had called in advance, asking to visit. Uncle Roma, he said, I saw everything. Read everything. To be honest, I always wondered how Boris managed to live like that. Now I understand. And I'll tell you the truth, I'm proud you didn't give in. If it's all right, I'd like to come by in a week or so, just as family. I looked at him and replied, David, I'd be glad. Just let me know beforehand, no surprise arrivals. He laughed. When I returned home, the house was silent. No phone calls, no tears, no Jeanna, no Boris, no accusations. Just me, the sea, and Elvira's photographs, her eyes seeming to look down from the shelf with quiet understanding. Later that evening, Boris published a post. Short. Emotionless, by court ruling, the information I previously shared about my father-in-law, Roman Petrovich, was incomplete and contained distortions. I offer official apologies for the inaccurate statements. And that was it. His voice on social media fell silent. I sat on the veranda with a glass of wine. The sun was setting, the waves breaking as they had on the very first evening I moved in. Only now, the house was truly mine. Not just by documents, but by right, by respect, by the silence I had finally learned to defend. I poured another glass, lifted it, and looked at my daughter's photo. Elka, I didn't become bitter. I simply became an adult, free at last.